Mark. So what you been up to for 20 years?
Choose life. Choose Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and hope that someone, somewhere cares.
Missed you, mate.
I missed you too, Spud.
Choose looking up old flames, wishing you'd done it all differently.
Do you still take heroin?
No.
And choose watching history repeat itself.
Hello, Franco.
Simon, I'm home. Choose your future.
Call the police.
What shall I say?
Just tell them we're dead.
Choose reality TV, slut-shaming, revenge porn. Choose a 0-hour contract, a 2-hour journey to work, and choose the same for your kids, only worse. And smother the pain with an unknown dose of an unknown drug made in somebody's kitchen. And then, take a deep breath. You're an addict. So be addicted. Just be addicted to something else. Choose the ones you love. Choose your future. Choose life.
Choose life. And we are finally here with the Cineworld Unlimited Podcast. The very first episode. I've been trying to get this off for quite some time, but life and situations have made it so we didn't do it until now. This very first episode, as you can guess from the trailer you heard at the beginning, is going to be on Trainspotting 2. I'm going to do a few episodes about some movies I've seen over the winter, just to sort of get a little bit ahead. And then we're going to keep going with basically every movie that I can catch from Cineworld. It's going to be fun. And anybody who wants to join in on this, you can email me for the moment at my personal email, and that is mr_marius@hotmail.com. I am your host, Marius Muller, resident in Dublin of Ireland, but originates from Norway, Oslo, or Oslo, Norway, as we usually say. And I've been living here for 8-9 months now. Been using my Cineworld card since this summer, which is pretty much when I decided to start this. You might know me from another podcast called The Midnight Toker, which has also been on a hiatus. And I usually used to do movie reviews on The Midnight Toker, but from now on, that part is going to move over to this podcast right here. It might be, or at least the ones that I watch at Cineworld. If there's any Netflix or anything else that I see anywhere else, I'm going to review that on my old podcast when I get that back up and running. So, yeah. A couple of days ago, I went to see Trainspotting 2. The week before that, I was on an unlimited screening of Trainspotting, which was very, very fun to see the first one again. Usually see it once a year anyways, but I never seen it on a big screen, so that was quite a laugh. But yeah, Danny Boyle is back with his second installment, his first sequel of Trainspotting, and all the original guys are back for the most part. A few exclusions here and there. A couple of characters have died off screen. I'm not sure if they actually died in real life, so if they did, my condolences to that. And we are just straight back into Trainspotting territory. First of all, before we go any further, I might want to tell you that this will be spoilerish reviews. I don't really like to talk around stuff. I probably won't spoil the biggest things, but I want to be able to talk about the movie as I felt it, like I saw it. So, if you haven't seen the movie, go out and see it. It's definitely worth it. I'm going to put a little thing in front of every review where I tell you if it's worth seeing or not, in my opinion. This one definitely was. So basically the story goes that, what the hell is his name? Oh, shit. Renton, of course. We catch up with Renton 20 years later from the last movie when he left everybody with the money. And we find him in Amsterdam, where he has a cardiac issue, basically. Which inspires him to go back home and resolve some issues. He goes back to find Spud, who is still struggling with his issues, with his addiction, trying to get off. He's had a kid with the girl from the last movie, whose name escapes me right now. The one who he threw shit at her parents during breakfast. And yeah, he's still struggling, trying to get his shit together and get his family back to some sort of normality. He also has Renton also has to go by and see Simon, sick boy, and try to explain to him why he left the way he did, which is basically like, if he didn't, sick boy probably would have. So he was just first out. And the whole movie, it doesn't start off like the first Trainspotting, and I like that. It had something that a lot of these 20 years later sequels don't have, and that is, it's not an exact copy of the first movie. It does have plenty of callbacks and scenes that will remind you of the first movie, but it is not an exact copy. It might follow some similar story threads as well, but again, it's not the precise thing. It's not another way to get money and get out. This is more of a pure revenge movie, because, of course, Begbie is in jail, has been in jail since the last movie, and all he wants is revenge on Renton for taking the money. And that is basically where the movie starts and where it goes from there. It's a reunion of the characters and just to see how they are, how they're doing, and just what is next 20 years later. What drives them on? What gets them to the next place they're going to go in their lives? And all I can say is I was smiling through the whole movie. Just to see these guys again, to see Edinburgh shown off in his glory. All the little callbacks here and there. Spud leaving this one meeting, walking out the building, and just realizing that it's on the street that we saw in the very first scene of the very first Trainspotting movie, and watching young Ewan McGregor and young Spud running past him and being chased by the police officers. Little things like that. There's also a scene later on in the movie where you actually see the younger versions in sort of a flashback, but this scene was not in the original movie. So I'm not sure if this was something that they cut out from the original, or something that they just, if they CGI'd it somehow, or because with Rogue One and a few others coming out now, Civil War last year, it seems to be more and more the way to go with these callbacks. They can actually youngify actors now. So who knows how they did that. Everybody is back on point. Ewan McGregor is fucking awesome. Jason Lee Miller, fucking awesome. Spud, who I never really learned the name of, so sorry. I just know him as the guy who showed up in movies like Alien vs. Predator and stuff in later years. He's on point. Spud, when he goes off on his rants, is just as as hard to understand and enjoyable to watch as ever. Robert Carlyle is just menacing, as he just has that crazy eye thing, and he has not lost that over the past 20 years. He is a goddamn menace, and there is nothing else to really say about him. He gets out, he wants his revenge, and when he finds out that Renton is back, then that is the only thing that he is interested in. And, you know, I don't really want to go too much into it other than that. It's a really really fun movie, just like the first one. It's a great companion piece to the first one. It, like I said, it's not like a step-by-step remake or reboot of it. It's just, this is the natural progression of these guys' stories. And it has some surprises, it has some turns. There was one point where I thought one of the main characters was legit gonna die, that they were gonna go that way. So it has its suspenseful moments. That's all I want to say about that, really. As I'm thinking about it, and you know, the music is on point. He also uses Danny Boyle also uses the music to make certain points. There's certain music cues that will sort of start, but he, as a callback to the first one, but then he won't sort of pay it off until later. And there's some old tracks back, and there's some new tracks. It's a great soundtrack once again. Some great use of color and light and just space. There's really no creepy baby rehab scene, but you couldn't really outdo that from the first one, so I'm more than good with that. And CGI creepy baby would have just been worse. It would have been even worse. Yeah, like I said, Sick Boy, Spud, Carlisle, all the other ones that was in the first movie that makes certain pop-ups here and there, they're all on point, and just I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think I am gonna go watch it again, maybe once or twice. But I also have a lot to catch up on the new movies. It's been a rough month. I was supposed to start doing this a month ago, but I have been dealing with different sort of health issues and problems and work and everything. So I've just kept postponing it. So actually now I'm not really even 100%, but I thought might as well just get this started so we can start doing this for real. It's 2017. We're done with the shit that was 2016, and that's just it. Pretty much. Go watch this movie if you love the first one. You're gonna like this. One thing I want to say is I'm not quite sure if this is gonna resonate with everybody, even if you like the first movie. If you discovered Trainspotting within the past 5 years, and to you it's just like this good sort of drug movie that you somehow discovered, maybe you weren't even born when the first one came out, maybe you were just like between 1 and 5 when the first came out, then it might not resonate as much with you, because it's not going to deliver on being Trainspotting the way you remember Trainspotting. But if you were at somewhat semi-adult level when you saw the first one, I think I wasn't more than 12 when the original came out, and I was probably between 14, 15 when I first saw it, so I wasn't that late to the party. For us that have been with the movie for these past 20 years, it's going to resonate a whole lot more because of that 20-year gap that you remember watching these guys being young, being just being a part of that age, and we were as we were, and you will sort of look back on yourself and like, oh yeah, I was that young kid, maybe not doing the same shit these guys were, but you were at that point 20 years younger than you are right now. And you look back on that with some fondness that you can't really get from just discovering this movie 5 years ago. But if you grew up with it, if you were a part of that movie when it came out, all the way till now, and you go watch Trainspotting 2, you will feel that nostalgia that the characters are feeling. This is, again, I wouldn't say it's a remake or just a normal sequel or anything. It's a great companion piece. This is Trainspotting 20 years later. Nothing more, nothing less. So if that is something that appeals to you, then I will definitely recommend you go see it. Make sure that Danny Boyle knows that we like this movie and that we want him to keep doing stuff like this. If, like we're trying to do with Kevin Smith and get him to do Clerks 3 or Clerks every 10 years, it would be awesome if we could get a Trainspotting every 20 years. I would love to see Trainspotting 3 with these guys being in there. That would be closer to their 60s. That would be amazing. So, yeah, absolutely go watch this. Make it a date. If you have a Cineworld Unlimited card, why even question it? Just go watch it. You will not regret it. So, I think that will conclude it for the review part of this. In these first few episodes, until I get this up and running, I will not keep to any distinctive time label. If it is something shitty that I want to talk a lot of shit about, then it might be longer. If there's something shorter or something good that I don't want to spoil too much about, it might be shorter. So we'll just leave it at this, and then we'll take it from here and just see how it goes. I would love to have somebody else on this podcast to help me out and to get the back and forth a little bit. Like, I'm doing this really off the cuff. Not very much prepared, not really many notes, not really anything to help me with this. So anybody who would come in, help me make this sound more professional, make it even better, of course we would be in on this. If we're lucky, we might even get some help from Cineworld eventually. So yeah. In news, I think I'm going to do a news segment of sorts. Might from now on might do it before the actual movie review, but since we're already doing it like this, and the next couple of episodes will just be recaps of shit that's come and gone for the most part. Do a little news segment right now, and this is going to be some old news. So first of all, the one thing that I'm really mad that I couldn't talk about as soon as it happened was the loss of Carrie Fisher, and eventually the next day of her mother, Debbie Reynolds. To put into words what Carrie Fisher meant to me throughout my life as a movie watcher is pretty much impossible. I didn't even realize it until she passed away, but I never thought about it in the way that Star Wars, the 3 original movies, were my first introduction to the wonder of movies. Before Jurassic Park, before Back to the Future, before Rocky, before all these things that I used to watch as a kid, Police Academy, all these kind of different movie series. From what I can remember, Star Wars was the first. So Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, and Harrison Ford were my 3 first movie heroes or idols. And the fact that she's gone now is just heartbreaking. I put out this excessively long post on my Facebook page when she went, explaining all this, and it's still not quite sunken in. Like, from all the millions of people that she touched, from all the cool stuff she's done through her years, as an actor, as an entertainer, as from what I've learned later, she was doing script doctoring. helping movies become better. Carrie Fisher was one awesome person. She never bitched to fans. She had her problems with her diseases and the bipolar disorder and everything. She never let that really get to her. Of course she had her bad days, like everybody does. Of course she has her bad days. But she never let that ruin her fans' experience of her. The fact that, and this is from a selfish point, like, you know it's going to be like this, but the fact that she won't be able to complete Leia's story, that she lived long enough, and she didn't even live that long, like 60 years old, that's nothing, but that she lived long enough for the industry to turn around and figure out how to do new Star Wars movies correctly, and have her now being part of the 7th and the 8th episode, which is now The Last Jedi, and then not being able to complete that in episode 9 is just, it's just heartbreaking as a fan. Like, of course, it means nothing to her family. It means nothing to the people who knew her and truly lost her. Like, who cares? Who cares if she does not be able to do episode 9? But I am always going to wish that she was going to be able to complete that story, to give Leia a true ending. And now it's just not going to be. They're talking about maybe, even though Lucas Arts have gone out and said, like, we're not going to recreate her in CGI. I'm so torn on this, because I can understand, of course, why they don't want to do it, and I'm one of the guys who saw Rogue One. I saw Peter Cushing, and you know, it instantly made me realize that this character was CGI. It was really good for the most part. There's just some things here and there that just makes him off-putting. And the young Leia I thought looked really, really good. Except for the mouth. They can never get the mouth right. But even with that, it's gonna probably be too soon. But if there was any way for them to do that and just give her some sort of resolution, it's gonna be so fucking painful to watch episode 9 and she's just written out. That's not gonna work either. It's gonna be so obvious and so glaring that I honestly don't know what is the better way to go. And I will leave that up to her family to decide. Like, if her brother or anybody else is in on it, like, they need to decide. If you don't really know much about Carrie Fisher, or if you do and just want to watch something that you haven't seen before, I can so recommend this. This documentary that came out a few weeks after she died. Bright Lights with Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, and it just shows a few months of their lives together, and a whole bunch of clips from young Carrie and young Debbie, and it's really, really good, and it's gut-wrenching to watch, actually. But Carrie was one awesome person, and rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. I will forever miss you. Truly. And as 2016 wasn't enough of a kick in the fucking nuts with all the people we lost, I'm not even gonna try to list them all. Yesterday, last night, we lost John Hurt as well. It's like yeah, he was older, so you can get that. Yeah, he's been struggling with cancer as well, so like, it's not like 2017 just came and took him for no reason. But again, another great legend. Like, Jesus Christ, if Carrie Fisher was my first hero, the first one to show me what movies could be. John Hurt was one of the first who scared the living shit out of me when they for some reason decided to show they were selling this Alien VHS box on this TV shop network kind of thing that we had back in the day. And during daytime TV, they would show the alien chestburster scene. With a warning, of course. Like, if you're too young to watch this, you should probably look away right now. Of course, I didn't. So, first thing I ever saw from any of the Aliens movies was the chestburster scene. And with, of course, John Hurt. This scared me half to fucking death, but oh my god, did it get me into those movies. I can't really say I followed John Hurt in everything he did, but every time I saw him, anything he was in, he was distinctive and memorable. From when he showed up in the Harry Potter movies, all the way up to the last time I really saw him, which was the Day of the Doctor, the Doctor Who 50th anniversary special. And since then, he's even done a whole bunch of... I think they've actually just started to come out, but he's done a whole bunch of audiobooks for Doctor Who since then. So there's a lot of stuff that you can check out with that. But yeah, he was a great actor. There's too much stuff he has been in for me to even mention, and there's too much that he's been in that I haven't gotten around to see, to even pretend to know. But, like I said, whatever I ever saw him in, he was always great, and he seemed like such a cool dude. So, again, rest in peace, John Hurt. And, yeah. Hope you're resting well, man. So, that's sort of it for or at least the death news. We got... What do we got? We got the new, we got the title for episode 8 of Star Wars. It's going to be The Last Jedi. Who knows what that means? If it is what people put up online with the Force awakens the Last Jedi from his sleep or something like that. It could be. Wonder Woman is still looking pretty good. Justice League is looking awesome. We're waiting for trailers on those. We got the Spider-Man Homecoming. We got Guardians of the Galaxy coming out soon. Logan coming out soon. It's officially a full R-rated movie. New trailer looks badass. I'm starting, or I have been thinking since the first trailer came out, that this might be the Death of Wolverine storyline that they're doing. So maybe they're actually going to straight up kill him off, which would be pretty awesome. But no way in hell this is the last time we're going to see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. I don't believe it. They always say that shit, and then a few years later get a break from it, they'll be back. Like Deadpool versus Wolverine or some shit, like that's going to happen. Just don't even fret. Don't worry about it. Can take a look. I don't know if there's anything brand new that I've missed. Well, let's check our sources at comicbook.com. I've been watching Gotham again, and the new second half of the season looks fucking awesome. Jerome is back with fucking a face cut off, so we might get a death of the family interpretation while they're doing the Court of Owls, which, boom, is blowing my fucking mind. Avengers Infinity War is starting to film right now without any script, so the actors don't even know what the hell they're gonna do, which is fucking, that's pretty cool. What else? There's so much these days. We're gonna have to find some way to keep people updated on this. Yeah. Last of all, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about The Walking Dead season 7. There's been so much. I'm listening to a whole bunch of different Walking Dead podcasts. I keep up with the news and the reactions everywhere, and the amount of shit that people have been talking about one of the best seasons that this show has had is just baffling to me. Like, I don't know if people don't get the brutality, again, spoilers, the brutality of the way Negan takes out Abraham and Glenn that's the point. Like, you're supposed to hate this guy. The guy says it right out in the episode while he's bashing Glenn's head in, when all the other guys are like crying and bawling and like all that shit. He says it like, you bunch of pussies, I'm just getting started. And then he shows up in the following episodes and people are starting to bitch like, oh, I don't want to see Negan, oh, I hate this guy, I don't want to be this, like, that's the fucking point. That's the point. He's in your face and he's laughing and he's, being all that and just rocking his fucking attitude and just, he's supposed to piss you off. Like, for us few people, for some reason, we're not the ones who are in the public eye. We're not calling into the different podcasts and the fucking news stations and all that shit. But for us who are reading the comics, we had this expression or this feeling in 2012 when he killed Glenn in the comics. And we were like, oh, fuck this guy. And then, like, all this shit happened. All the way up to where we are now, where fucking Carl went off and fucking tried to shoot his guys. Being a fucking 9-year-old instead of a fucking 16-year-old that is now. And Negan getting him to sing You're My Sunshine and taking off his fucking bandana to show his eye. And fucking killing Spencer and all this shit. Like, that... We hated him too, but now, fucking 60 issues later, over 60 issues later, since he's been introduced, he's still there. He's still in the book, and he's gone from the most hated motherfucker in the universe to, I don't want to say one of the most liked, but he's now in a completely different spot than he was when he first was introduced. And just to make this, like, to spell this out for you, he's been in the comics for over 60 issues now. He's been in the comic longer than Abraham ever was. He's now less than 40 issues away from being in the comics longer than Glenn was. Like, he's now one of the staple characters of the show. So if you are one of the viewers that are hating on him, he's not going away anytime soon. We are going to lose a whole bunch of other characters that you love. But Negan is going to be safe. Negan's not going anywhere. So just get used to it. Start enjoying him. Start enjoying Jeffrey Dean Morgan's fucking badass portrayal of him. He's fucking awesome. I'm loving every second of this new season. And the fact... Like, if you go back to the Midnight Toker, my podcast, and check out a few of my episodes on The Walking Dead, you'll see I was starting to get pissed off with this show, especially because of the Glenn fake out and all this other stuff. And I started to feel like certain characters was just safe for being safe because of the show. But that was just because I was waiting for the Negan death to see if they would actually pull the trigger on Glenn the way they were supposed to. And they did. They did. And now I'm so much more relaxed when watching the show. I'm enjoying it so much more because I know from now on, I know they're going to hit on the big moments from the comic books. Like, as soon as I saw that they did Carl's eye and Glenn's death, then I'm good. From now on, I'm good. And I have been rewatching the whole series now. From season 1, I'm on season 6 right now. The show flows so much better when you watch it from end to end instead of week to week. And if you read the books and then watch the show, they've hit on basically every major moment that ever happened in the books. I think there's like less than 5 big moments that they've totally skipped. And the rest are in there somehow. Many of them are tweaked and reworked and happens in different parts than when they did in the book. But they all happen. And there's so much good shit ahead, man. I'm loving this show. And to know that Robert Kirkman has said that they're only about halfway through in the comic. So that means by the end it's going to be about 300-400 issues of the book, which will equal to probably a 20-something seasons. If they'll possibly be able to go that far. Because issue 100, that was 7 years. 200, 7 more seasons. Yeah, it's gonna be a long ride. So glad. And I'm gonna love it when Game of Thrones is done after 2 years now. What are people gonna watch? They're gonna watch The Walking Dead. Love it. Love it. So for anybody, if there's anybody out there who agree with me on this, please contact me and just let's get on this and let's be the only guys who are actually rooting for this show and rooting for the way they're doing it. Because to me, it's one of the most perfect adaptations of anything. Like, except for the Glenn fake out, which that's basically where I am now. That's pretty much as annoying now as it was the first time I watched it. But other than that, I haven't felt that anything drags. Like, oh, they're all only on the farm for a season and they don't go anywhere else. You know, that's like 16 episodes, right? And a lot of them is like traveling around to the outskirts and whatever. But that's 16 episodes divided up on storylines of 8. So basically, the first 8 is just chasing Sophia, and then the next 8 is living on a farm. It's not really that long, and if you're binge watching it, it doesn't feel that long. They have been longer in Alexandria now than any other place. So please just stop with the fucking nagging and just enjoy it, okay? They're going somewhere, and there is a point to everything. Whew. So, yeah, probably talked more about that than I talked about Trainspotting, but like I said, Trainspotting, I want you to watch it. I just want you to watch it. It's like I said, if you watched the first one and you were between 15 and 25 at the time, you're gonna absolutely adore this. So yeah, we're gonna leave it at that. This was the first episode of the Cineworld Unlimited Podcast, and I will be back very soon with definitely going to do an episode on Rogue One, and then we're going to do a few more, put those out, and then I'm going to put them all out in a bunch so I can put a few of them out at the same time, and then like have a little buffer time so I can do stuff and have time for it to like pop out. And if there's something big coming out, I'll make sure that it's out as soon as possible. So yeah, again, I was your host, Marius Moeller. If you want to join in on this discussion, and please, it would really help if you also have a Cineworld Unlimited card, so we can both sort of plan, or so we can all plan who sees what, and we can like go back and forth on it, because then we could actually cover everything. Hit me up on mr_marius@hotmail.com. And we will definitely try to work something out. Have a great good morning, good evening, and good night wherever you are. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.